I'm Teisha Bader with Shalom TV's News Update. A total of 5 rockets were fired from the Gaza Strip into southern Israel on Tuesday. 3 rockets landed in an open area within the Eshkol Regional Council, and no injuries or damage were reported. Shortly after that, 2 additional rockets exploded near a town also in the Eshkol Regional Council. No damage or injuries were reported there either. The residents of the region were advised to remain in their shelters. The United States Treasury Department announced that Treasury Secretary Tim Geithner and Israeli Finance Ministry Director General Doron Cohen will sign a memorandum of understanding on Wednesday, establishing a new framework for administering the recently extended U.S.-Israel Loan Guarantee Program, which is designed to help the Israeli government access financial resources from private capital markets at affordable rates in order to promote Israel's economic growth and stability. President Obama recently signed an extension of the program through 2015. The signing tomorrow is part of this week's meetings of the U.S.-Israel Joint Economic Development Group, which is the main dialogue on economics between the United States and Israel. The Simon Wiesenthal Center has strongly condemned Egyptian President Mohamed Morsi for attending a sermon where the preacher called for the, quote, destruction and dispersal of the Jews. In a video which was nationally broadcast in Egypt, Morsi is clearly seen answering Amen to a prayer which asked God to, quote, destroy the Jews and their supporters and disperse them, rend them asunder. The footage was recorded and translated by the Washington, D.C.-based Middle East Media Research Institute. Rabbi Marvin Heyer, dean and founder of the Wiesenthal Center, and Rabbi Abraham Cooper, the center's associate dean, said this is a slap in the face to America as Egypt's President Morsi pockets billions in U.S. aid and says amen to principles that are repugnant to all Americans. The center also called for President Obama to condemn the, quote, growing chorus of anti-Semitism in Egypt led by the Muslim Brotherhood and to cut contacts with the group. The Anti-Defamation League also raised concern over the incident, saying the drumbeat of anti-Semitism in the new Egypt is growing louder and reverberating further under President Morsi. And we are increasingly concerned about the continuing expressions of hatred for Jews and Israel in Egyptian society, and President Morsi's silence in the face of most of these public expressions of hate. And staying with the ADL, the organization honored 4 Heroes Against Hate at its 18th annual concert at the Kennedy Center last week in Washington, D.C. The event recognizes individuals for extraordinary acts of courage in confronting intolerance, injustice, extremism, and terrorism. Those honored included Holocaust survivor Irene Fogel-Weiss, freedom rider and civil rights activist Joan Trumpauer-Mulholland, the late police officer Moira Ann Smith, who is credited with saving hundreds of lives at the World Trade Center in the September 11th attacks, and Amardeep Singh Kalika, who became the voice of the Sikh community in the aftermath of the shootings at a Sikh house of worship in Wisconsin earlier this year. The event also recognized and held a moment of silence in honor of Malala Yousafzai, the 14-year-old Pakistani girl who was shot in the head for standing up to the Taliban and is now being treated in the UK. The Lawfare Project, which works to counter the use of the law as a weapon of war, has strongly denounced the Arab Lawyers Union for honoring a Palestinian suicide bomber. A Palestinian daily reported last week that the Palestine Committee of the Arab Lawyers Union, or ALU, awarded its highest honor to a former law student, Hanadi Jaradat, who blew herself up at the Maxim restaurant in Haifa in a suicide terror attack in 2003, which killed 21 Israelis. The Lawfare Project condemned the actions of the ALU, which is comprised of more than 200,000 lawyers, saying the organization was rejecting their responsibility to uphold the rule of law, and said the ALU is engaging in lawfare by attempting to obscure or perhaps justify the illegality of the attack, classifying a criminal act as lawyer-endorsed measure taken in defense of Palestine. Lawfare has called upon the ALU to reconsider its award recipient. And finally, the Posen Foundation, which works to promote Jewish learning and academic research in Jewish history and culture, announced a new fellowship for emerging Jewish scholars and fiction writers. 6 Jewish studies scholars and 2 Jewish-themed fiction writers will be awarded as members of the Posen Society of Fellows and will receive a 2-year $40,000 award, as well as the opportunity to participate in a workshop led by seasoned scholars and writers. Jessie Tisch, director of the Posen Foundation in New York, said, "This new program underscores our commitment to providing crucial early career support to academics in Jewish studies and Jewish fiction writers, and building bridges between scholars, writers, and the general public around the world." Applicants can apply at posenfoundation.org by January the 15th. And that's Shalom TV's News Update. I'm Teisha Bader.